Brady is back in the game, ladies and gentlemen, and the AFC West has taken over the league. So if you were to sort of kind of compress everything that's going on into one sentence, that's basically it, kind of. Anyways, you guys are listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Fans Only Sports Network. I'm Adam Wright, Justin Hill, CJ Medieros with you tonight. We have a lot planned for you guys. We'll touch on Tom Brady coming out of retirement. We'll also hit on ongoing free agent signings as well and give updates throughout this show as everything's going on because all these signings are happening as we speak. There's also Deshaun Watson. The sweepstakes are finally coming to a head after basically a year at this point. But first, let's talk about the AFC West, which has gotten a little bit out of hand, to say the least. So the Chargers have traded for Khalil Mack and signed J.C. Jackson while retaining Mike Williams. And I believe they added a couple pieces up front at the tackle position. And the Broncos also traded for Russell Wilson earlier this week, obviously. The Chargers are in on Jarvis Landry, and they also got Justin Reed to replace I'm forgetting his name, Tyrann Mathieu
on the Chiefs.
To get younger at that position, basically. They did lose Travarius Ward. But anyways, the AFC West has simply turned into a massive arms race. So, guys, which of these teams do you see taking the AFC West this year?
All right, I guess I'll go first. How to put this? I don't know why. I've seen the Broncos, they're beefing up. They got Russell Wilson. They just signed Randy Gregory. And, they're – I mean, yeah, I don't know. And I guess there's the Chargers, which have added Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson, two players at the tops of their position. But I don't know why. I still have to go with Kansas City. They're still the team to beat. They made it to the AFC Championship last year. And, I mean, think about it. Patrick Mahomes is still like a top 2, top 3 quarterback, depending on who you ask. Some would say he's number 1. They still have Tyreek Hill. They still have Travis Kelce. They might get Jarvis Landry. It's possible. We don't know for sure. But we know they're zeroing in on him. And I know they lost Travarius Ward on defense. But they did get Justin Reed, who will replace Tyrann Mathieu. He's a lot younger. He's faster. He's really underrated. And it's just, look, I believe the hype around the Chargers and the Broncos, but to be perfectly frank, I have to see it to believe it. Because how many super teams have we seen just completely fall apart, We've seen it quite a bit. And so right now, I'm not counting them out, but I think as it sits right now, the Chiefs are still the team to beat. And I would still expect them, just by the magic of Mahomes alone, probably to, take the AFC West.
All right, Jay Hill. Oh, no, I can't hear him.
My fault, you guys. My fault right there. But get right quick, you guys. I like your valid point right there, CJ. But regarding with the AFC West, we used to say to ourselves that the AFC North was a very hard division between the Ravens, Browns, Steelers, and Bengals this year. But now, as we've seen free agency turn into like turmoil, I have to say that it's the AFC West, because you look right now at the division. Right now, the Chargers are saying, okay, we're in win now mode. We've had Justin Herbert for 2 years, and it's 30. Let's make it special for him. Let's have the best defense we can combine, such as Joey Bosa, them getting Khalil Mack, then just yesterday signing J.C. Jackson, and not to mention the Broncos making a tremendous trade for who's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL besides Tom Brady, Russell Wilson. It speaks for itself. And then you look at the Raiders. The Raiders are now coming up. The Raiders had a terrific season last year, and they also try to make some moves. But regarding with the Chiefs, I remember I was telling you this, CJ, when I first met you. I was saying to myself, in the AFC West, the Chiefs, they're going to be ruining the division for the next 10 to 15 years, just like what Brady was doing in his division with like the Bills and Jets. But right now, as we speak, this is a division that's very tough and is very tough. And I understand that the Chiefs, they've been to 3 straight AFC Championship games, but at the same time, we need to look at teams inside the division that's going to make a tremendous impact in the near future.
All right, I'm going to go with the Chargers, and I'll tell you why. I understand that Patrick Mahomes is probably still the best quarterback in that division, but it's not going to come down to it's not going to come down to quarterback play in this case. It's going to be how the defense plays. And the Chiefs' defense was shaky as it was last year. Now they're losing Charvarius Ward, and on top of that, they kind of downgraded at safety. They got younger at safety, but Tyrann Mathieu's better than Justin Reed. And they just lost a key player on that defense now. And they replaced him with a younger piece, but he's not better. And I get that that offense for Kansas City is going to be electric again, but Patrick Mahomes is starting to get a little sloppy as his career continues to go on. His play style is starting to backfire a little bit, and I think that's going to hurt them in the coming years and this year as well. Justin Herbert also has a much safer play style. He has very sound mechanics. I think that's going to work out for him, and that defense is going to ball. Khalil Mack, along with Joey Bosa, coming in from the edges, and then now you have a legitimate number one corner, two very solid corners in Asante Samuel Jr. and J.C. Jackson. That is a really, really good defense, and combined with that offense, it's over. It's over for the AFC West and maybe the AFC.
Here's my issue to add on, Adam. I understand, and you, CJ, you say that the Chiefs is the Chiefs division, and Adam, you said the Chargers are the Chiefs, right?
I said Chargers. I think
Chargers,
I don't think the Chiefs are going to take it.
So to answer your question here, I say the Chiefs, but at the same time, we need to watch out for teams like what we're just mentioning right now, the Broncos, Chargers, and the Raiders. But at the same time, yes, the Chiefs have the best offensive coach in the league. We've seen in our decade, and from the 2017 till now, and that's Eric the Enemy, the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs. But at the same time, these teams in this division are hungry. Like, look, it's win or lose now. But at the same time, you have to look at yourself as a franchise regarding these teams of what you're going to do in the near future. Because I'm telling you, with the Chiefs, yes, they are the future in the NFL, including Patrick Mahomes. But at the same time, what we've seen this year with Mahomes, we've seen a lot of sloppiness, like what you just said, Adam, not to repeat myself. But at the same time,
who's your pick?
Who's my pick? It's really tough. It's going to be, as of right now, I'm gonna say the Chargers, because right now the moves that the Chargers are making, it's looking real scary. Yes, Patrick Mahomes.
There you go.
Patrick Mahomes is the face of the league after Brady retires. If he retired, yeah, you know what I'm saying. But at the same time, yes, I'm gonna pick the Chargers.
I understand, but see, here's the thing: you're acting like the Chargers were a playoff team. You were acting like they made the playoffs last year. They didn't make the playoffs last year. And a good defense don't mean jack crap if your offense still can't keep up with Kansas City's. And look, I'm not saying the Chargers won't make it. I'm just saying let's pump the brakes. I am only saying that I will believe it when I see it. You know, I mean, like I said, the Chargers didn't even go to the playoffs last year.
I know. They barely missed.
I would still take – oh, yeah, barely. But even still, even if they didn't make it, they would have finally been qualified by week 18.
Like with the Chargers, CJ, I understand they didn't make the playoffs, but after watching that last game between the Rays and Chargers, after seeing that, I'm saying to myself, okay, Justin Herbert is kind of like the key player in this division. But at the same time, you make sense, but we need to say to ourselves with this offseason, the moves that the teams that are making this division is unstoppable. Can the Chiefs handle it? Maybe, but at the same time, the Chargers, they're a complete sleeper in my eyes.
How are they a sleeper when everyone's hyping them up?
I don't think the Chargers are the sleeper. I think they should be the favorites. The Chargers should be the favorites. And you mentioned Patrick Mahomes and how Justin Herbert and that offense won't be able to keep up. It's hard to see Patrick Mahomes actually being able to produce enough offense when he has Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa in his face half the time.
Look at this, CJ, though.
Wow, it's almost
how do you feel?
You're almost acting like he doesn't have a good O-line. He does. Orlando Brown, Joe Tooney, Creed Humphrey. Do those names mean nothing to you?
It doesn't mean nothing, but they'll still get through at times. And we saw we did see that during the AFC Championship.
Under duress during every snap.
It means nothing.
I'm just saying,
I'm not kidding.
I was gonna say I'm not gonna say anything bad on the Chargers. I wasn't kidding about the Chargers. I'm just saying, like, I believe it when I see it. But right now, it's like free agency is so young. We don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, maybe the Chiefs make a big steal. Maybe they get Jarvis Landry. I don't know. But until then, we're literally just going to have to see.
All right, we will believe it when we see it, which is exactly what we were seeing about what everybody else was saying about Tom Brady coming out of retirement. And he did, and he shocked the NFL world. We're going to get to that next. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast.
Way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Fumblerooski podcast. I'm Adam Wright, Jay Hale, CJ Medieros in with you tonight. Tom Brady has come out of retirement to play with Tampa for his 23rd season. His age 45 season is going to be the oldest starting quarterback of all time. And so Tom Brady, he retired after the conclusion of this past NFL season, and he was only retired for basically 41 days. In fact, he was during podcasts when he was interviewed about it, he was literally keeping track of how long he was retired. And we're like, dude, you are not going to last in there. So he did come out. So guys, what are your thoughts on Tom Brady coming out of retirement?
You know, this is a good situation for Tampa Bay. It really is. But I think the real winner here is Bruce Arians. Because, if you're a fan of the show, you've probably heard my take on Arians, that he's overrated. This whole quarterback whisper offensive guru thing is a complete sham. And Tom Brady coming back has saved Bruce Arians' bacon, basically. Because now it's like, oh, yeah, I don't have to prove myself. But I still maintain it's going to be a dark day for Tampa when Brady leaves. This might be the last go-around. Yeah, you ain't Carlton Davis, but Chris Godwin's probably gone unless you're ready to shell out the big bucks. They are, they just traded for Shaq Mason, but they still lost Ali Marpet to retirement. And another thing, if you think about it, is that more than likely up front, they're going to lose Ndamukong Suh, William Golston, and JPP. So I don't want to say last dance Bucks because I don't know because they're going to be contenders as long as Brady's there. But Brady always did say he wanted to play to age 45. I think nothing. I mean, he's willing to retire. We've seen. So I would say nothing is really guaranteed for them after this season. Like I said, they'll be fine as long as Brady's there. But if Brady really decides to hang them up after this season, then we'll see. Like I said, just take it one season at a time, because as far as Brady goes, next season's not guaranteed.
As a Tom Brady fan, I'm really happy that he's back. Seeing him retire 2 months ago, it did break my heart, because me being a Giant fan is painful, but at the same time, just to seeing the greatest quarterback to ever play, it's unstoppable. But at the same time, I think the NFL, including Brady, they were not ready to disapart from themselves. But at the same time, we need to appreciate greatness when it is, because there was a time 2 months ago we weren't going to see him. But recently, I was saying to myself, okay, is he going to come back? And then I saw the whole thing with him meeting Cristiano Ronaldo, the soccer player that plays Manchester United, one of the great soccer players of all time in our generation. Seeing him ask him, "Are you going to play again?" Brady's like, with the expression. So that there said to me, okay, he's going to come back maybe next year. But coming back now, I'm really happy. I think he should have maybe taken a year off. At the same time, I'm really pleased to see him play. I'm liking what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are doing. Like what you just said, CJ, they just recently got Shaq Mason. If I'm correct, I like what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
And they just recently acquired, I think it was Russell Gage from the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, they just did.
And then they just got him. So I'm liking what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are doing right now since Brady's return. And it's like what you just said, CJ. Bruce Arians is nothing without Tom Brady, and that's just a pure fact. With this season, I think the Buccaneers need to focus on to protecting Brady, get some receivers that he wants, get a good defense, and move on to win your number 8 ring. And shout out to Tom Brady fan for letting the man play, because without Brady, the NFL is nothing, in my opinion.
Tom Brady is back. This is the return of the king. Now before I go on, I did think that Tom Brady was when he did retire, I thought that he would come back, but I thought it was going to be after a year or two. I thought he would take a couple of years, and then he would realize wasn't the right decision, and then he'd go, and then let's say Trey Lance doesn't work out in San Francisco, and he becomes a 49er because he always wanted to be a 49er, and then he would maybe win a championship. They'd do something there. Turns out he only lasted a few weeks of retirement, and then he's like, you know what? I kind of want to go back. And I said this in the direct aftermath of his retirement. It just felt wrong, him retiring before his age 45 season, because he's been saying for years that he wants to play for his age 40 through age 45, and he wanted to play through a high level to a high level at that capacity. And the fact that he came back to do this is destiny for him. This is what this is the goal that he set, and this is the team that he's going to be on. And I want to see him go and win a championship in his age 45 season. Will he do it? I'm not sure. They have a lot of issues with that roster. They have a lot of players hitting free agency. They were able to add a guard, but they still need another one. So that offensive line still needs some work. The defense needs a little work, but their work's cut out for them. But the way I see it, and we've been saying this as Patriots fans, CJ, for years. As long as they have Brady, they have a chance. Now, is he going to stay here much longer than just this year? I don't think so. I think so his contract is up after this season. I bet you he walks in free agency and he goes somewhere else. And I'm willing to bet again that he goes to San Francisco.
It's just Adam, I understand, but I just don't see the San Francisco thing happening. There's bad blood between the two. Because he said that was his first priority in free agency, and they said, no, we're sticking with Jimmy G. And Brady took it personally and went and won a ring. Everyone seems to forget that.
I don't forget it. I just think you're putting in too much. I think you're putting too much stock into it. I don't think he's taking it that personally. He was like, yeah, you're going with that effing guy. And he could have even meant that half joking, being like, okay, I understand he's younger and he just took you to a Super Bowl. Why would they not go with him? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it turns out it was broke. And then they went out and got Trey Lance. And because they didn't think that Tom Brady would ever leave Tampa Bay. They thought he would retire there. Now there's a real chance he leaves, and I don't see. I think it's not impossible. I don't think it's broken beyond repair.
Here's the thing, though, Adam. Let's not forget that out of all the teams in the 2000 draft, the San Francisco 49ers passed on Tom Brady, knowing Tom Brady growing up was a diehard Joe Montana fan, a San Francisco fan, and him and his father, Tom Brady, had season tickets. Let's not forget about that part. And to point out, in my eyes, when he walks in free agency next season, he's not going to go to the 49ers. Maybe he might sign with the Buccaneers. Hey, maybe something ever happened to Mac Jones. Maybe the Patriots will ever reach out to him. If that ever happened, I'll make your day. But not sound delusional. But at the same time, let's just appreciate what we see now, because we should be lucky as fans of football that the greatest quarterback is back. Because I'm going to be honest with you. When I saw Tom Brady retired, I wasn't going to watch no NFL games this year besides the Giants, okay? But Tom Brady, that's my boy. But at the end of the day, regarding with the situation here, the Buccaneers need to focus on now, not next year, now.
Yeah, I do agree. I'm very much happy about him returning. It didn't feel right that he retired right before his age 45 season, so I'm very thankful for that. I'm just looking at the future right after that. I'm not stressing about it. I'm just like, I wouldn't rule him out playing even further than this. I also wouldn't rule him out retiring right after this season, but you never know. But anyways, free agency has begun. The legal tampering period started on Monday, and it's going on basically right now up until tomorrow when free agency actually starts, March 16th. We'll get into that a little bit as it has been going on. We'll get into that next. This is the Fumblerooski podcast.
Way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
You are listening to the Fumblerooski podcast by Power 88 and Fans Only Sports Network. I'm Adam Wright, Jay Hill, CJ with you in the house tonight. Before we get on to our next segment, I do have one fun comment that I found on our YouTube channel by Finnemore Media. Look at this. Finnemore Media having a brewski watching the Rooski. And it says there's a little underscore here and or a little thumb up emoji and us. So that's nice. I could go for a few drinks. Maybe I'll have a couple after this show. A few celebratory ones after Tom Brady came back for his next for his 23rd season. What do you think?
Are you asking us?
Yeah.
I'm not going to out Justin, but I'm not old enough. I'll have some milk something.
Yep.
I'll have some milk, I guess. I don't know.
A brewski. I wonder if there's like an alcohol-free type of thing. Alcohol-free alcohol. Wouldn't that be just depressing? But that's pretty nice. It's fun hearing about a little bit of football while having a beer. Not bad. But Anyways, the legal tampering period has begun, and it's going on right now. Free agency starts tomorrow. And so, guys, regarding free agency, what are your give me your favorite signing thus far in free agency?
Oh, well, that's a hard one, honestly. I mean, there's a few things that I've liked, really. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the Steelers picking up James Daniels. That's a really underrated signing. The Vikings signing Jordan Hicks kind of flew under the radar. The Lions getting an absolute steal with that Chart contract. You know, there's the J.C. Jackson signing. That also is huge. But it's just, when I think about it, a lot of people might not see this coming, but I really, really liked the longtime Washington guard, Brandon Scherf, heading down south to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Brandon Scherf, like I said, just signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And what I like about this is that it shows that the Jaguars are at least interested in making sure Trevor Lawrence doesn't look like a bust. They gave him an awful offensive line to work with, which saw him getting dropped every time he tried to breathe. And look, I kind of look down upon the Jags not from like a media perspective, as a fan perspective, but it's just, this is a really good signing, and it's nice that they're willing to help out Trevor Lawrence. And there's really not a lot you can say because, it's not one of the big sexy signings like an offensive line. I mean, like a wide receiver or any other big offensive piece. But Brandon Scherf would help shore up that line immensely. And tagging Cam Robinson again, like they did, just shows that, the Jags can and will spend for, to help Trevor Lawrence. And, that's not all. They kind of want a spending spree on defense with signing guys like Foysad Olakun and Florenzo Fadukasi from the Jets. And then, there's the Zay Jones and Christian Kirk signings, which were a bit of overpays. But, hey, they're trying, and that's what matters.
My favorite signing so far, CJ, it has to be maybe the Tyrod Taylor signing with the Giants, because you've heard a lot of things going on this year with the Giants, who's going to be their quarterback, and like seeing like a couple of hours ago, seeing the Giants side Tyrod Taylor, who recently played for the Bills. They gave him like a 2-year, $17 million deal. I think it's a great deal because Daniel Jones is injury prone, but at the same time, as a Giant fan and as a fan, I think it's a good sign because you have a backup quarterback right there. I was it was a good signing for the Jaguars, but I'm really questionable with the player they got regarding Christian Kirk, knowing that he's a good receiver, but I think the money that he's getting paid, being in the level with Devontae Adams and DeAndre Hopkins in their category of money, I think he doesn't deserve that. Randy Gregory going to the Denver Broncos, that was a big thing, as it said. Recently, you heard he was re-signing with the Cowboys, and next minute, he was going to the Denver Broncos. But the Denver Broncos, we've said this for a couple of weeks, they're all about defense, and they got their defensive guy who just like recently, I saw some stats earlier. He had 6.0 sacks last season, so I think that's a great signing right there. And also seeing the J.T. Jackson deal with the Chargers, knowing how they can improve their defense alongside Khalil, Mack, Joey Bosa, and the crew, I think that's really great. And we're going to see more signings as we see. I really want to see where Von Miller's going to go. You're hearing rumors he might stay with the Rams and go to the Dallas Cowboys. And I really want to see that in particular, including where Odell's going to be, knowing that he might be out for the season, but in return for the playoffs.
So I have to go with Brandon Scherf. So he's a guard who previously played for Washington, who's been a Pro Bowler. And this was a big signing. So he went to Jacksonville. I'm bringing up the contract details right now. But basically, Trevor Lawrence has been put on his ass ever since he came into the league. He hasn't had much support around him. He's had some decent pieces in the passing game, but he just doesn't have much time to throw. And you don't want to pull an Andrew Luck and have your potential franchise quarterback get hurt, and next thing you know, he's retiring by the age of 28, 29. That's not something you want to do. And I like that they are starting to prioritize surrounding this kid with some pieces and at least acting like he's the franchise guy. If he winds up to be a bust and he sucks, all right, no harm done. And now you have some pieces around you, and you could add another quarterback, go back into the draft, trade up or something, and go and get something. But for now, when you have one of the most highly touted prospects in Trevor Lawrence, in a quarterback prospect, you need to be able to go out there and you need to actually surround him with pieces. And you need to take him seriously, because he's going to determine the future of your team for years to come. So for them to prioritize this was big for me, and I really like this signing.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on Scherf.
Yeah, Scherf. I think it was a good signing for them. But anyways, so to go on to another question for free agency, what is one signing that you believe should happen?
Oh, wait, what should happen?
What do you think should happen?
All right.
Not should have happened. Just look towards the future.
All right. I will not lie to you. Maybe it's just because I'm a Pats fan, but I really think that the New England Patriots need to go out and sign Allen Robinson. You just gave up Shaq Mason and a salary dump for pennies, which, isn't something that I really like. But all I'm going to say is that you can just please sign Allen Robinson. You've been looking at him. You're in the hunt for him. Just come on, seal the deal, Patriots. It's not something that I want to happen. I mean, it is something I want to happen, but I genuinely think it should happen, because I read numerous reports that the Patriots are invested in trying to, get Mac Jones a number one receiver, which I say, yes, I think you should as well. And there's one right there for you.
I think another thing I was going to say, CJ, maybe Jarvis Landry maybe going to the New England Patriots. I've been seeing some stuff recently as well with the Patriots as well, but I really want to see where Jarvis Landry is going to go, knowing that his buddy Odell Beckham Jr. has a ring. Hey, it's time for him to get a ring. He was literally a hostage in Cleveland with the Cleveland Browns for maybe 3 or 4 years, but I want to see him succeed as a fan for him, and knowing that he's a great football player. I also really want to see, I'm not going to repeat myself, maybe where Von Miller, I think Von Miller could help any contending team who's almost there to be in the Super Bowl, go to the Super Bowl. You look at, for example, the Cowboys. You look at maybe the Broncos. Maybe he can return to the Broncos, because wherever Von Miller goes at this point, they're going to win a championship.
All right. So looking at the free agents that are left, I'm going to talk about Allen Robinson, but I'm not going to be a biased Patriots fan. Not to say that you are, CJ. I'm just saying I want to levitate away from my home team and look somewhere else. I think the Las Vegas Raiders should go after Allen Robinson. Just looking at everybody around them in that division who've been making moves left and right, and it leaves eyes going towards the Raiders saying, okay, how are you going to answer this? What are you guys going to do now? Because the Chiefs are doing stuff, the Chargers are doing stuff, the Broncos did some huge things, and they continue to do it. Today they got Randy Gregory, and they still have cap space, I believe. So if you are Las Vegas, you go out and you get Derek Carr, his legitimate number one weapon in Allen Robinson. That way you have Robinson, you have I'm forgetting his name. Hunter
Renfrow.
You have Hunter Renfrow. And then you have the tight end. I'm forgetting his name too. I'm blanking on
Waller.
these guys right now.
Waller.
You have Darren Waller. You have 3 very solid pieces for Carr to throw to, and then through the draft you look at the offensive line and you work on that, and you work on the defense as well. But I think it starts with Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson is a piece they need to add. And, they need that number one wide receiver. I know Carr has it in him. He hasn't been that guy since his days in 2016 when he was an MVP candidate, but I do believe he still has it in him. And if they give him a chance, if they give him the pieces, he will do it. Last time he had it, he had Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree, and it worked out. It's going to work out now if they do it again, but you got to add some weapons around him. But anyways, moving on, we have the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, which are finally coming to an end. That's coming up next. Don't go anywhere. This is the Fumblerooski podcast.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. This is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Swings it way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
All right, guys, welcome back. I am Adam Wright, Justin Hill, CJ Medieros with you tonight. And so the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, the teams in these sweepstakes have narrowed down significantly in recent days. So reportedly, Deshaun Watson rejected the Eagles and Seahawks. So he rejected the Eagles and Seahawks. The Texans rejected the Colts because, they're not going to trade within that division. And Watson met with New Orleans and Carolina Monday. They're meeting with Cleveland today and Atlanta tomorrow. So those are essentially the few teams that are left who appear to be in the running to get Deshaun Watson. So, guys, out of all these teams remaining in the race, where do you guys think is the best spot for Deshaun Watson?
I've been thinking about it, and ever since I knew that Deshaun Watson was going to be traded, I was stumping for him to go to Carolina. But now that I know that the Browns are interested, I would say send Deshaun Watson on up to Cleveland. Think about it. Not only do you have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, a powerful running game, but you have Amari Cooper, who you just traded for. And I believe you also have wide receiver, the ever underrated Rashard Higgins, and you have a dual set of tight ends named Austin Hooper and David Njoku, along with a stout offensive line and a ferocious defense, which has guys like Myles Garrett and Chase Winovich and Denzel Ward, among others. And so when I think about this, you're the Browns, right? The Bengals in your division just went to a Super Bowl. The Ravens only missed the playoffs because of their injuries, and they're going to be scary when they get healthy. And the Steelers, well, I don't know. They're the Steelers. They always find a way to at least go 8-8. So if you're the Browns, you can't be the odd man out. You finally tasted a modicum of success, and you need to keep that going. And you got to pull the trigger on Deshaun Watson. You send like 3 firsts in Baker Mayfield. That is what I would do. I was stumping for the Panthers, but now that I know the Browns are an option, I would love to see Deshaun Watson in a Browns uniform.
All right, Jay Hill.
For Deshaun Watson, since he's been sitting home for a year and a half due to his case and him being found, the DA dismissing the case, I'm for Deshaun Watson, knowing that he's happy about that. But at the same time, he sat out for a year and a half, and now he's been waiting for this moment to talk to teams that he's been wanting to do for quite some time before the whole incident happened. He wanted to get out of Houston before the whole thing happened. But regarding with this situation here, I think in my eyes, I see him going to New Orleans Saints. I see him going to New Orleans Saints because right now the Saints They had a very bad season before the whole injury happened to their quarterback, and at the same time, for the New Orleans Saints, they need to look at the future as of right now. You have a young and healthy Alvin Kamara. You have Michael Thomas, who we don't know if he might get traded during his offseason or whatnot, but he's scheduled to definitely play this season, knowing that he's been sitting out for a year and a half. He's going to be playing this year. I think it will be a perfect fit, knowing that New Orleans they went from being over the salary cap into now in the sweepstakes to afford this guy. If that's not the case, I could definitely maybe see Atlanta grab him. We've seen for years the Matt Ryan flunking guy. Like, he's just done some like horrible stuff. Like, he's just been like, I call him the fluke, because like with this guy here, like, he's just done some horrible things, like regarding the franchise blowing a 28-3. And that's why I call him the fluke, because like you've done so many stuff. Like, it's time to move on from him. You've seen Julio Jones leave. You've seen so many things going on right now. Calvin Ridley, I think maybe him playing for the Atlanta Falcons, it'll be a definitely great success. But as my favorite, I see him going to the New Orleans Saints.
So I was going to pick Cleveland as the spot for Deshaun Watson to go to, but because CJ already picked it, I got to go a different direction.
Wow.
I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers. And
What?
to be honest,
Really?
I would have, if it weren't for Tom Brady being back in that division, I would have actually had Carolina over Cleveland as the best spot. Carolina has a very good defense. They have some very good options for Deshaun Watson to throw to in Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore. And that offensive line does need a little bit of work, but that's all they need is a little bit of work on that offensive line. And then the rushing game is very good. Even past Christian McCaffrey, you still have Chuba Hubbard, and they just signed Deontay Foreman. So just looking at this whole thing, it's wait a second. Hang on. I'm just getting a hang on. I'm just getting, so according to Diana Rossini, the first step for the Saints, Panthers, and Browns in arranging a meeting with Deshaun Watson was presenting a trade. Once Houston approves, only then did they meet. Okay, so all these moves are from the Saints, Panthers, and Browns are approved. It's just whether or not Deshaun Watson has to go there. That's apparently what they are saying. Tuck just sent us a snap. I hope it's something that Carolina wouldn't be a bad spot. Oh, Justin's listening to us. I agree, Justin. See what I mean? So what I'm saying is, they have, even past Christian McCaffrey in that rushing game, they still have Chuba Hubbard, and they just signed Deontay Foreman, who just had a breakout year coming back from his Achilles tear a couple of years back. And I mean, you know how Achilles tears are with running backs. They're almost death sentences for their careers. So the fact that he's come back from that is incredible. But him, Chuba Hubbard, and you still have Christian McCaffrey, that's a pretty good team. And I think if you add Deshaun Watson to that mix, they might be able to actually beat Tampa in that division title, and possibly take the NFC. Because once you get past Tampa and you get past the Rams, who else is there? It's Green Bay, and they're bound to get worse. So I have Carolina, and I think that's a very good spot for them.
If you look at this situation here, Adam, with him going to Carolina, right now, Carolina, they're about to lose Christian McCaffrey. So they're going to lose a running back. Regarding
losing.
Well, if he gets traded, because you're hearing a lot of stuff with him right now with McCaffrey, if he might get traded.
Meaning they would get something for him, in other words.
Yeah, they'll obviously get something. But like, you make a valid point with him going to Carolina. They have Robbie Anderson, who they just gave an extension to, like, I think last offseason, I think it was. And they're right, and like they have a couple of good receivers on their end. But at the same time, as of that report you just said, knowing that Carolina, Cleveland, New Orleans, it looked like they've been approved. I think Deshaun, regarding with his situation, he needs to go to New Orleans. And like for Cleveland being in the mix, like isn't Baker Mayfield supposed to be your future quarterback? Like you've already given up hopes around this guy. Like I understand Baker Mayfield, he's a horrible quarterback, but at the same time, like let's not forget he put you back, kind of guys like not back on the map, but at least into contention last season. So I wouldn't give up on him really that quick. But I think New Orleans is going to be the favorite to land him. They have the defense, they have the offense. I think it'll be a good fit and a better way to not be a distraction from the media presence to what's going on in his life right now.
All right. Well, we will see. What we got to also remember, where we believe is the best spot is irrelevant because ultimately he could end up going to Atlanta, which is a place where none of us picked. But anyways, up next we have the Fan Box. Don't go anywhere. This is the Fumblerooski podcast.
Way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
All right, guys. I'm Adam Wright, Justin Hill, CJ Medieros with you. And we have reached towards the end of our show, which means we get to our Fumblerooski fan box. So what happens is we post on our Instagram a question filter every Monday, and you can respond with hot takes, questions, and more. And we will discuss it and give you a shout out on our podcast. Respond to next week's fan box question to be featured on our show. All right. So the question I asked you guys was, what was your favorite free agency signing so far? So to get into these, I got to get into the story because I haven't answered them. I got to get into. Oh, that's not good. They're not written down. I got to find these in the archive section. I'll just go into the post I put out. But anyways, first response was Patrick Williver, who said everything the Jaguars did before Kirk. Also, it's Trubisky time. Trubisky, what a signing that was, wasn't it? You look at one of the premier teams that was in the running for a quarterback. They had a very solid roster around him. They settle on on Mitch Trubisky. Wow. That's just.
I personally think we're underrating the riveting quarterback race between Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, and Dwayne Haskins. Now,
to be fair, it will be a very close. That will be a very close race.
Yeah, it's like watching a snail race.
It's just going to come down to who sucks less.
Yeah, pretty much.
Whoever's in the Steelers camp and advised Mike Tomlin to go get this guy, in my opinion, doesn't even know football. We see Mitch Trubisky be a horrible player when he was on the Bears his last 2 years, and good luck to the Steelers with that guy. He doesn't even deserve a spot in my eyes.
All right, J.C. Jackson signing with the Chargers makes things even more interesting in that division. That was an incredible signing, and while I think the money's not worth it, he is a pretty good player. And I stand by what I said. I don't think he's one of the best corners in the league. He's a number one, but a serviceable number one. And I think Asante Samuel Jr. is going to be the better corner. But that does make things interesting, and it gives me. I think they're the favorite in that division, like I said earlier. And here we have, and that who said that was Tyson Tate, loyal listener of ours. I believe he's listening right now. He said he was going to tune in.
Tyson's not wrong. That was a good sign.
Brian Mucker said CJ Uzomah deal. He said finally get a tight end. When the Jets get any sort of talent, then it's a win for them. So, golf clap for them. Golf clap. Just nice. Good job. Oh,
No,
CJ's breaking out the slow clap. That's even worse.
CJ Uzama, the top 5 tight end. Surely they'll deliver us a Super Bowl. But nah, I'm a Pats fan. I gotta mess with the Jets a little. But no, it's a perftly fine signing.
It's a good signing.
A good thing for the Jets, though. They were able to grab Braxton Burrows, so to re-sign him.
Nah,
it's all right.
It's nothing. He's a special teams guy.
Yeah,
he's basically like how do I put this? The clearance version of Danny Amendola.
Yeah. So Diego, I think it's Huertas. He said Russell Wilson to the Broncos. Now, the problem is this isn't a free agency signing. This is a trade, but it is a groundbreaking move nonetheless. I mean, that just shook the NFL world, and it's going to go down in history as one of the most blockbuster trades of all time in the NFL. And possibly you can make a case for the MLB too, or the rest of all pro sports. But Tyson Tate again answered, and he said, DJ Chark to the Lions gives Goff a new weapon to use. I'm glad to see that they're actually putting together some pieces. And it feels like right out of the gates after this teardown by the Lions, they're actually starting to get something going here. So DJ Chark with Amon-Ra St. Brown, you have DeAndre Swift. I think Jared Goff is a serviceable quarterback, and he can lead them to some wins, and he could be a nice little bridge quarterback to your next guy. So that could work for them.
Yep.
But yeah, I believe that's it for all of our responses. Do you guys have any other thoughts before we end the show tonight? Nothing?
No, not really.
Long live Tom Brady. Tom Brady, the GOAT. He is back, baby. Where's the beef? Unicorns, show ponies. Going full Scott Zolak here.
Yeah.
The return of the king. And I honestly, if it weren't for I would have named this episode Return of the King if it weren't for the AFC West going absolutely berserk with the moves that they've been making. But Tom Brady, you are the greatest of all time. It is destiny, you coming back for this possibly final season. I'd be okay if this was the final season, not your age 44 season. You cannot end your career 1 year before you said you would hang it up. 45, take it or leave it. Nothing more. I would take a little more, but nothing less. All right, guys. Well, that'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to us. Be sure to tune in to us live Tuesdays at 7:30 on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube through Fans Only Sports Network. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have all our episodes available on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and much more. Also, be sure to follow our Instagram at Fumblerooski_podcast to keep up with our podcast and the latest coverage on the NFL. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Over and out.